Hey, what's up YouTube? Today we're going to talk about a topic that is actually one of my favorite things to talk about, yet I've only kind of briefly discussed that on this channel for a couple of things. And today we're going to talk about miniature carrying cases, and this is an obsession of mine. I love the miniatures and I love the games, obviously, but the cases for me are almost as important as the game itself. And you might know that I'm kind of, I guess I'm kind of OCD about cases. I lead a very kind of mobile life. I travel with my miniatures, as you might know. I also do a lot of conventions and a lot of shows, some things where I need portability. And I need versatility to go along with my portability, and I need to be able to adapt to a number of situations. So, you know, unlike a lot of gamers that will just go out and try to buy the biggest bag possible, for me, I tend to buy a lot of smaller bags to suit a number of different situations. And I thought, hey, since I own a bunch of different bags, why not do a little series about comparing the bags and maybe just giving you a little bit of insight into what I look at when I'm comparing a miniature bag. I do buy a lot of bags, but I'm not sponsored by any of these miniature carrying case companies or anything like that. So yeah, I do buy a lot of bags, not sponsored, but take these reviews with a grain of salt, just knowing that these are my personal preferences. I'm by no means an expert on miniature bags or foam or anything like that. You should also consider that I'm primarily a Battlefoam player, so we're talking about skirmish level bags. I may move up to larger bags, but that's really not where I do a lot of my miniature bag shopping. So anyway, today we're going to talk about what I call the skirmish level bags, or a typical skirmish level bag. And this is typically a 2 level of foam bag, anywhere from 2 inches up to, say, 4 inches. But the primary parameter I'm setting for this category of bags is, we'll say, anywhere from 16 to, say, 45 miniatures on average. So maybe a couple of crews or a couple of gangs. If you're playing War Machine, this might be maybe 1 War Machine army going into this size of bag. As you may know, there are quite a few different types of cases in this category. You may go with like a Chessex case, which are very good cases, admittedly, but you know, and decent foam in these. 2 layers in the standard Chessex skirmish level miniature case. Decent foam, pretty good size. I mean, for carrying purposes, I have traveled with this before, and you can put this inside like a messenger bag and be fine. The downside to this, you know, no handles or anything like that, and really no storage capacity beyond miniatures. So we're not really going to talk about that bag today, nor are we going to talk about something like the Ultra Pro, I think this is a WizKids bag, or Mage Knight or something like that. I actually removed that, I just didn't like to look at it. This is a 2-layer foam bag, but this is, you know, somewhere in the area of 4 to 5 inches tall. And the foam inside isn't that appropriate for 25 to 30 millimeter miniatures. It's much larger. The foam itself is really good. Here, this is, I actually use this kind of as a portable miniature travel kit. So when I do painting events or anything like that at the store, I'll put some of my paints in this bag, and that's what this is good for. Anyway, not really here to review this either, even though I have tried this for miniatures. This really isn't quite suitable for what I'm looking for. Today, I'm going to spend most of the time talking about 2 bags, and I'm going to compare them. The first one is the Battlefoam C4 Bag. This is another 2-layer bag, and we'll get into that in a second. So Battlefoam C4, and we're going to compare that to the KR Kaiser 4 bag. Also, 2-layer bag foam. And of bags within this size or category that I've kind of made up, these are my 2 go-to bags, and there are strengths and weaknesses to both of them, and I really enjoy both of these bags. But I will declare a winner at the end of this. So anyway, bear with me as we talk about miniature bags. So first up is the Battlefoam Pack C4, which I actually own 2 of these C4s, and I really do enjoy this bag. The exterior of the bag is great. It's very solid. It's very strong. It's got a nice sleek profile here. It fits well in my overhead case. One of the other things that I really like about this bag is the detachable shoulder strap, which makes it really nice because I can take the shoulder strap off, and believe it or not, this little extra hardware here can sometimes interfere with the fitting into the rollerboard in a certain way. I love the storage capacity in this bag. You've got a nice, fairly sizable outer pouch here, and then when you zip this compartment open, you've got a 3-ring binder, and you've got a nice, again, solid construction on this bag, and you can put a bunch of stuff in here. It looks like I just have leftover counters and maybe a couple of stat cards in this one. But I could fit a full Malifaux rulebook in there if I wanted. I could fit, some decks, some tape measures, and so forth. And I've done that on some of the trips I've taken. So the exterior of the bag is outstanding. Don't really like the green color, but that's personal preference also. And the fact that it says Pack C4 gets kind of scary when you're going through an airport and you've got this green military-looking bag that says C4 on it, and it's about the right size that someone might consider being dangerous. But yeah, it's just my miniatures, folks, nothing scary. The one thing that's kind of awkward about the exterior of the bag is the miniatures are actually on the underside of the bag, and they're actually stored face down. And that's one of the critical challenges I personally have with this bag. And let me show you here in a second. So, yeah, the miniatures go in like this. You can see this is an empty bag, and I'm using a pluck foam layer here. I forgot what I stored in here, maybe Blood Bowl at some point. But anyway, it stores upside down. You've got, one thing that's cool is you do have this extra flap here for a little bit extra storage, but you don't really want to use too much of that. And now here's my primary concern. Without a topper, your miniatures are being stored basically exposed to this, and granted it's not rough, it's very smooth piece of material here, but you can see where there's little dings all over it where the miniatures that were in here were slamming up against this, and a topper, a very thin, maybe 1/8 sheet of foam would have saved that. The foam trays on the inside are standard C4 trays, and these fit into the Battlefoam Malifaux regular size bag, which is nice. They also fit into the larger, the newer Through the Breach bag for Malifaux. Also very nice. So you do have some modularity there. The foam itself from Battlefoam has improved a bit. At one point, I was really worried that it kind of felt like sandpaper, and it was like rubbing the paint off of my miniatures. They've gotten a little bit better about that, but again, with the core design of this bag, my worry is that they're slamming up against the top lid here, and that's not very good. So you get 2 of these C4 foam trays. Now they're only 1 inch deep, and you lose some of that to the hard backing on these sheets of foam here. I'm going to hold her in place here so I can show you. It's very firm on the side, and for the most part, this is firmer foam than most miniature companies use. So you get 2 of these C4 1 inch deep trays, and for Malifaux, that's not great with how rigid it is. These are mainly like what I call the deep bench here for my miniatures. These are miniatures I hardly use. I don't really use this Lilith, really. even though she does look kind of cool. I don't really use her very much because I have an alt Lilith that I prefer. Same with McMorning and Nicodem and Marcus and some of the other guys that are in here. 30mm lipped trays do slightly hang off of the edge here. So if I'm looking straight down, you can see that Seamus's, the lip of his base is hanging out. And then if you've got something like, you know, this limited Death Marshal or whatever, these things can get bent and beat up pretty bad. In fact, I have looks like a Sword Vic there that snapped off of her base. And with Sword Vic, you got to worry about these swords as well. So you've got the bottom layer, 1 inch thick. It's just barely good enough to hold in some 30mm. And that's, again, exposed to the underside of this rather firm foam. And that can be a problem. The miniatures can get dinged up a little bit. And with them being in these rigid C4 foam trays, there's not a lot of versatility to this unit. It's you can trade it out with the main Malifaux bag. I've tried putting the 1.5 inch C4 foam in here. You can't really do 2 trays. It gets really cramped at that point, and it actually can end up harming your miniatures a bit. So as much as I love the exterior of this bag, I do have some issues with the fact that it's 2 1-inch C4 trays. I mean, I know I could go with a standard 2-inch pluck tray, but that's not very useful for what I need this to do. The plus sides would be how rigid everything is. I mean, this can go into my suitcase, and I'm really not worried about at least external forces working on my miniatures. I'm more worried about the rigid foam and the lack of the topper really beating up my miniatures. All things said, though, love the C4. It's one of my favorites. That's why I own 2 of them, and it's a fairly versatile, useful bag. Just a couple of quirks to work around, and this is a pretty good bag. I would recommend people use this. So now that brings us to the KR. This is the Kaiser 4 in the mini bag section. I believe this is the Kaiser 4. I can't really tell the bags apart too much with regards to KR. But the good news is I don't really have to. KR is so awesome at modularity, and they beat everybody out with their modularity of their foam trays and their bags. They are just amazing at it. Now the outside of the bag is pretty good. I like the black. It's a very simple logo. You know, it's very unassuming bag. Does also have detachable hardware. They're not metal clips, so not as sturdy as the Battlefoam. And I would say, although this is very tough construction, I'm pretty sure if I were in a fist fight, the C4 would do me a better job of hitting somebody in the head with it. Plus and a minus, though. C4 is a bit heavier. The Kaiser, much lighter. You do have this nice generous pocket up top, and this is a more generous pocket than the C4 has. But overall, the external storage of the bag is not quite as good as what the C4 is. But that's fine. You know, I've got a bunch of cards in here. I've got 2 decks in here, and I can put in smaller tape measures, not like the big hang on to your belt loop tape measures, but they're fine. One thing that kind of bugs me, as much as this is a better handle than what the C4 has, the rubber handle, it does take up space inside my roller board. So I've got this kind of funky piece here to deal with. Not the end of the world, but fine. The shoulder strap is surprisingly a little bit more comfortable, mainly because it's got the little guard here, and it's a broader shoulder strap. So the exterior of the bag, pretty nice. But where this one really shines, for me, is the interior of this bag. So, let's pop the bag open. First up, okay, the upper lid here is a little soft. It's fairly flexible. So that's nice. Nice and good and bad. Good in that it's flexible, lighter. Bad in that if it's in my rollerboard, it might be subject to external forces where the C4 would not be. Now, also a big plus, foam topper. Very simple fix, foam topper. You can do the same thing with the Battlefoam bag, and you'd probably fix a lot of the issues that I might have with the interior of the bag. But KR foam is just beautiful. It's very soft. Very soft. and takes care of your miniatures. Now, in here is where this really shines. So, soft KR foam is beautiful because even though your miniatures may be hanging out of the top of things and they may not be even stored correctly, like I've got shoot, what's this guy's name? A Toto in here, and he's upside down. And as long as the lip of this hangs out, it's fine. It's never really damaged him. He's a weird pose, as you know. I've got Masaki in here. This is the pluck foam side, which is a 2-inch pluck foam, which is great. And it's very soft. So I can do all of my larger base models in this bag. That's a challenge in the C4 because because it's one tray, you give up 2 inches or 2 layers of tray for pluck foam, and that can be a problem. Or you go with 1-inch pluck foam, which really doesn't do too many people a lot of good. On this side, this is the troop tray side, and I've got 2 different kinds of troop trays in here. I have a 25 half-size troop tray, which is nice because I can go with the shorter models, which can fit in there. And then even when they're a little tall, like Lady J is in the top corner there, I can fit her in there, and I'm not worried about this foam rubbing or scratching the paint off. The lips also kind of hang out because this is a 1-inch tray, but I'm not really worried about that. Between the topper and how soft the bag is and how soft the foam is, I don't really get much damage on the miniatures, where I did suffer damage traveling with the C4. The bottom tray here I'm using as this is a 20 model case. So I'm going 20 models, and they're slightly taller, and they're even sticking out a little bit like Mei Feng, because you know the new weird models are a little more dynamic in pose, and so a lot of times they stretch the bounds of where a standard troop case would be. But everything in this bag, and I've been putting a lot of miles in this bag, has never really led to a breakage or serious damage. I haven't been terribly rough with the bag, but I would say that I've been, not extra careful with it. So that is, that's also kind of a testament to how well things hold up. Now, I was talking about versatility and how awesome this is with KR's tray system. The fact that I can go pluck foam on one side and troop tray on the other side makes this bag incredibly versatile. I also have, just so you know, on the KR cases, I think I have, 5 full KR cases of all varying troop sizes, varying pluck foam sizes, and I can trade those out as I need. And this makes this bag go way above any of the other bags for me in this category, because I can trade things out. Now, this is my demo bag, and I'm able to fit a large number of miniatures in here. I have one demo faction or demo crew for each faction, plus I have Ramos and Mei Feng and Colette as kind of my 3, if I'm playing a game for myself, those are the crews that I've gotten here, and everything fits fine. And that's just wonderful. I can swap this out at any time with any of the contents of my bag. If I want to switch factions, I can just pull these trays out and put all my Rezzers in here, and then I can play Rezzers one day. Or I could fit most of my Arcanists. That's really the large size of my collection. And I can swap in and out and not blink an eye. And that's what's so amazing about the versatility of the KR bags. So, as you can see, that other bag was fairly empty. It had my bench in it. You can see this stuff is my big mileage Malifaux stuff. So for me, the winner is the KR bag because of its versatility, because of its soft foam. The exterior kind of loses out. I think the C4 does the exterior a little bit better than KR does, but the KR foam and its versatility and the trays really put this on top. So I know this video has gone on a very long time, and I can talk for hours and hours about bags and miniature bags, and I may end up doing that. So I'll apologize to my viewers in advance. But some of you guys I know might be bag freaks, kind of like I am, and you might want to know, hey, how does anyone on YouTube own this bag, and what do they think of it? And because I do own a lot of different bags, I thought I would start reviewing them. So that's it for what I consider... one other thing. Sorry, one other thing on the KR bag. Let's talk capacity for a second. A C4 bag can carry two 1-inch C4 trays. The larger C4 trays for Malifaux can carry something like 27, they can carry 36 miniatures, 27 being height 1 and 9 being height 2 miniatures. So 27 times 2, that's a 54 capacity storage if I only went with 30mm models out of the C4. The KR bag, because of its versatility, I can put 4 of these 25 capacity miniatures in there, and the actual height is somewhere between a height 1 and height 2, so I get a little bit of versatility there. But I can go up to 100 miniatures in this tiny bag. Not tiny, but small, portable, light, versatile. I love this bag. Anyway, the KR bag really does it for me. This is my go-to bag, my day-to-day bag. Doesn't matter if I'm going to a store or a tournament or a convention. This is the bag that I'm opening the most and closing the most, pulling the most demo crews out of and putting them back in. So this bag suits my needs. It goes into my rollerboard when I'm traveling, and this one within this category really does take the cake for me. Anyway, I am very sorry for going on for so long, but I love miniature bags, and I hope to do a few more videos on this. So thanks for watching, and I will catch you guys next time.